Hello, my name is Mark Prentice and welcome to another video where we look at the core elements of Go Ahead Punk. I'm the designer of the game and today we're going to look at two elements from the game. We're going to look at inventory items and how they interact on the player's character board, and we're also going to look at the hidden movement tracker for our dastardly sniper Stinger. So let's first look at inventory. So for the cops, there are two ways to acquire items and inventory for each character, and that both of those sources come from the cop pack. So in that pack there are 11 inventory cards which allow you to draw from the inventory deck, and there are also 3 car cards which allow you to take a car, and when you take a car, you get to look inside what's in the hood, what's in the, not the hood, what's in the boot, or the trunk, as they say in the US, and there may be an item in there as well for them. So let's say you've, Frank here, it's his turn. Instead of moving, he's elected to draw a card, and he draws an inventory card. That he would discard that immediately, and it allows him to draw from the inventory deck. So I'm going to flip the deck to make things a bit simpler, and I'm going to go through the inventory deck one item at a time. So first item on the top here is the 12 gauge shotgun. So Frank would take the shotgun token and place it on his inventory board. Now, as you can see on this grid, you only have room for the items that fit. So Frank does have room for that, so that's great. And what the card tells us is it's a 12 gauge police shotgun, can re-roll 1 missed dice per combat round. So what that effectively does is, I'll just get rid of these cards now, it effectively gives Frank Eddie's special ability, because Eddie's special ability is to re-roll 1 missed dice. So if Frank has the shotgun, he can combine both of those special abilities. So he can say that he's going to use the shotgun. So he could re-roll. He could roll 3 dice. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. Oh wow, 2 hits, and he could re-roll one of those because of the shotgun. Okay, so it's still 2 hits, but because Frank's own special ability is +1 damage, that would actually inflict 3 damage on Stinger. Okay, so that's how that particular item works. Before I come to first aid, I'll go through the other items. So there is a submachine gun. So if Frank drew that particular card, he could take the machine gun token. Now obviously it wouldn't fit, so he would have to decide whether he wants the reroll ability of the shotgun or whether he wants to have basically 4 dice. So if he decides he wants that, in fact no, I've just seen what he could actually do here is, of course, he could do that, and he would have all 3. Why would you need 3 weapons when you can only use 1 at one time? Well, the answer to that is if 2 characters are on the same location, you can swap inventory items. So Frank could maybe give the shotgun to Catherine or vice versa. So when there is a combat round, Frank has the ability to be able, well, all the characters have the ability to choose which weapon they want to use. So if Frank wanted to use the machine gun, he could roll 4 dice instead of 3. 1 hit, and because of his built-in special ability, that would be 2 hits on Stinger. The assault rifle, exactly the same. That's just another 4 dice weapon, and obviously there wouldn't be room for that, so he would discard 1 and have to make room. Okay, there is also the Winchester. Let's have a look at that rifle. I'll come back to these in a second. So the Winchester is also a strength 4 weapon, but it can be used one space away from Stinger. So normally in a combat round, the cop fires and Stinger fires back. However, if you're using the Winchester, he can't fire back. So you effectively have 4 dice to roll at him, and he has no dice to roll at you. So that's quite a useful weapon. Now, obviously, the downside of that is nothing stopping him from escaping. So it's best used when another cop is already in combat with Stinger. So then you can move to one space away, join in the combat, but don't have any damage inflicted back on yourself. So that's the use of that particular weapon. Right, let's have a look at some of the others. So we have the Bulletproof Vest. And that gives you a -1 to any damage taken each combat round. So now that would be tricky. So you'd have to lose both of those in order to take a vest token. And he still has his Magnum, of course. Yes, so if Stinger had a particularly nasty weapon that was inflicting a lot of damage back, and don't forget the cops only have 5 health, unlike Stinger who has 10 health. So the vest comes in quite handy because 1 hit can be deflected each combat round. So that is the Bulletproof Vest. Also in inventory we have this card, Cash for Intel. So when Stinger is out and about, up to no good, let's put him on the board. And the Hunch Tracker, or if Frank draws a location intel card, forcing him to reveal which district he's in, Stinger would say, well, they wouldn't know where he is, I'm just putting his piece here for your benefit, but he would have to declare that he is in the Castro. So, if Frank has cash, so if drawing this card he would discard it and take some cash, which you can still just about fit into his inventory. This will fit a lot better in the real life version. Frank can spend cash to get his exact location. So Frank draws a location intel card. Stinger says, I'm somewhere in the Castro. Frank uses his cash, and Stinger has to reveal that he's on exactly position 143, which might be very useful for Eddie if Eddie happens to be just a couple of spaces away. So that is cash. What else do we have? Radio. So if you draw the radio, let's see what it says. Used in combat, other cops with a radio add +1 to movement. So let's say that Frank is in combat, let's say Frank is in combat with Stinger. There we go. They're both on the same space and they're slugging it out. And Frank is carrying a radio, which he just about has room for. Any other cops that have a radio now have +1 to their movement as long as that combat is going on. So if Catherine has a radio, let's give that to her, and she happens to be, let's make this work so you can see what I mean. So let's say she was 3 spaces away, and the combat is still going on. Stinger hasn't escaped. He's still there fighting with Frank. It's Catherine's go. Ordinarily, she wouldn't be able to close in on the firefight. 1, 2, 3 is her standard move. She doesn't have a car or any bonus cards. However, if she had the radio, she gets +1 to her movement. She's in touch with Frank, and she can hear what's going on, where they're fighting, and she could close in on the location, and Stinger now has big problems because he's now fighting 2 cops. So that is the radio. So there's 3 radios there in the inventory pack. And I think that is all the inventory. First aid. So there's another one, which is first aid kit. So if you draw that, you can immediately heal 2 health. So if you're here, you can immediately heal up to 5. Or if you don't need it at the moment, you can simply take it into your inventory. Oh, you would have to decide what you want to lose. You can take it into your inventory for later. and then at a later point in the game, you can, as part of your turn, you can use your first aid kit to heal 2 points of damage on your health track. And that is what the first aid kit is for. The only time it can't be used is during combat. So you can't start patching yourself up in the middle of a firefight. So you can't do that. So all of those examples are from the inventory card pack. Okay. And I said at the beginning there are 2 ways in which the cops can get inventory. One is by drawing an inventory card, which I've now probably lost under all this. Yep. So first way is they draw that card, and then they can draw from the inventory pack. And the second way to get inventory is if they draw a car. So if they draw a card which gives them a car, they take the car. In fact, I think I had one ready for you. There we go. So a 1969 6.6 litre V8, nice and quick. So they would take the matching car. And it says on the card as well, they now have +1 to all movement. We covered that in another video. However, they can also draw 1 inventory card. So let's see what's in the trunk, and in this case it would be a first aid kit. So another first aid kit. There we go. He adds that. So that's the 2 ways that the cops can acquire inventory, either from drawing an inventory card or from drawing a car card, which then gives them a free draw from the inventory pack. Okay, so let's move on to Stinger. Stinger doesn't have an inventory pack as such, because all his items are just in his main pack. He doesn't use cars, so he didn't need the extra facility of a separate pack. So I've taken out all his inventory cards, have I? Yes, I have. So we'll go through them. These are all the cards in his main pack which are relating to inventory. And they work in the same way as they do for the cops. So if he draws that, he gets himself a 9mm pistol. If he draws that, he's got the 9mm submachine gun. So not much room there. He would have to do that. Stinger has to keep his sniper rifle. So he has to keep his sniper rifle until he's completed all 3 hits. After completing 3 hits, if he draws a card which gives him a weapon, yes, then at that point he can ditch the sniper rifle and add more weapons, so he would have room for both. Although you don't really need that pistol if you've got the submachine gun. Okay, what else have we got? So submachine gun, pistol. Right. Another way of getting a weapon is if he draws the Park Ranger uniform. We covered the uniform in a previous video. It gives you access to the green locations on the board to complete a hit. But what it also does is give you the Park Ranger sidearm, which is great if you don't have any other weapons. So if you only have the sniper rifle at the start of the game, the Park Ranger sidearm is a welcome addition. Okay, so that is that. There are also a couple of grenades that he can use, and this is for a single round of combat. So if you draw that card, you can add the grenade to your inventory, and that is a one-off 5-die roll. So in any given combat round, he can use the grenade, discard that, and he can roll 5 dice at whichever cop is fighting with him. First aid kit, exactly the same procedure. He can heal 2 immediately, or he can keep it for later and heal 2 spaces on his health track. Finally, this is kind of fun. Well, it's not finally, but it's the final weapon. This is fun. This is the 72mm rocket, basically, the bazooka. So there are 2 uses for this. He can either, like the hand grenade, be used as a one-off, one-hit wonder, rolls 7 dice. Particularly useful if he's fighting 2 or all 3 cops, because the damage is spread over all cops present. So he could put all 3 of them in the ER with that one. But it does have a fun extra use if Stinger is on a hit location. Let's just get his piece back. Let's do this. There he is. So let's say he's on a hit location here. But earlier in the game, the cops have assigned a chopper to that given district. So let's say the cops have assigned a chopper in Lincoln Park. That would mean that he cannot commit a hit in this district because a chopper's been assigned there. However, if he's carrying the rocket launcher, instead of saving it for a combat with a cop, he can use it to shoot down the chopper and complete his hit at that particular location. You might want to do that if you've only got 1 key and you don't want to spend any more, maybe you're low on health, you don't want to spend any more time looking for more keys for hit locations, you want to get the job done and try and win the game, then that can be a good solution to use the rocket, shoot down the chopper, and complete the hit. So yeah, that would be that piece there. You'd have to get rid of a couple of things. Get rid of that. There we go. He's got this rocket. So they are the inventory items of Stinger. There's one more. This is quite a useful one. This is the silencer for his sniper rifle. So if, let's see what it says. Stinger now reveals hits and draws a card on his following turn after moving. So I'll explain what that means. Firstly, when you get that card, get rid of it and add the silencer to your inventory. I'll have to get rid of that, make a bit of room. It's always the way, of course, the thing that you get rid of you find you need on your next turn. But anyway, he's got the silencer. So what normally happens, well, firstly, he wouldn't be on the board because it's secret hidden movement. But let's say, for argument's sake, I'm going to put him there so you can see what happens. So normally, when Stinger declares a hit, he would place his piece on the board and declare the hit and get one of his hit markers, place it on the board, and that's great for him. He's completed one of his hits. The downside is he stays at that location. Now all the cops, wherever they may have been on the board, now know exactly where he is, and it's also their turn. So Catherine can go there, Frank can go, I don't know, there. If he's got a car, maybe he can go there, and it's all very bad news for Stinger. However, when Stinger has the silencer, he declares his hit on the turn after he completed it. In other words, he's on this location, it's his turn, he completes the hit in secret. I mean, if he wants, he's not going to forget, but he could, I suppose, place his hit over on here. Where are we? It's at the Legion of Honor. There we go. So that's not to scale. It's not to scale on here, but it's on to scale with the real elements. Yes, he could place it there, just to tell himself and remind himself that he's completed a hit. The cops don't know where he is because he hasn't put his piece on the board, and doesn't put his piece on the board at all. So the cops all have their turn. They're still moving around looking for him. Stinger's turn, so we all know he was there. He now takes his turn and moves away. Maybe 1, 2, 3. Maybe moves to there. After he's moved on his following turn, he then reveals to the cops that he completed a hit on his previous turn. And he can do that because of the silencer. So the cops basically know that he's already 4 spaces away from this location, which makes it a lot harder for them to zero in on him. And it kind of reflects reality a little bit more. If using a silencer, he can take somebody out and be away on his toes before anybody even realizes something bad's happened, as opposed to the echo of a rifle shot bouncing around the streets. So that is how the silencer work, and that's possibly the most fun. Well, no, the rocket's the most fun, but that's almost the most fun item that Stinger can pick up. And that concludes taking us through all of our inventory items. And the only other thing we're going to look at now is Stinger's hidden movement chart. And it's basically how he records where he is on the board, because most of the time, of course, the cops don't know where he is. He uses hidden movement and he's moving around in secret. So at the beginning of the game, he chooses somewhere. Obviously the board is also reflected behind the screen here, so he's not having to stare at the particular part of the board where he is, giving away to the cops where they can see what part of the board he's looking at. So you have a representation of the map on here. So at the beginning of the game, Stinger chooses a start location, wherever it may be. Let's say it's, I don't know, let's go for 99. Okay, I think 99 is right over here. Yeah, 99 is right over there. So the cops don't know this. They all choose their start locations. Once that has happened, Stinger then gets to draw a key from the key pack. And this is kind of... So he's got somewhere to be aiming for at the start of the game. So let's have a look. Now, if you're fortunate, where you decided to start will be right near a hit location. And in this particular case, Palace of Fine Arts, okay, that's there. So Stinger has started the game here, and he already has his first target, which is there. So he hasn't got that far to go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Freeway. 4. You can almost get there in 2 moves. But basically, every time Stinger moves, you move the marker to where he is on the board. So when the various occasions occur when he has to reveal where he is, you can immediately tell the cops, yep, I'm on position 56. And then he would place his token on the board wherever 56 is there. So that is the primary function of the movement tracker. Simply so the person playing the sniper can make a record of where they are at any given time, because obviously in a hidden movement game their piece is not on the board. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll be back soon with some more videos for some more core elements from the game. Thank you.